Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session on championing our students' languages and cultures. So up to now, we've had several interviews related to various aspects of translanguaging. And in several of them, we mentioned that the first step was to create an environment that values and celebrates our students' languages and cultures. So once this is in place, then it becomes a lot easier to have translanguaging practices implemented in the whole school. So in my school, we are at the very first stage. And when I was preparing this event, several teachers, so when I say very first stage, I mean that we don't have translanguaging in our classrooms or anything like that. We're building up to it. And so when I was preparing this event, several teachers reached out to me to tell me that they were in a similar position where they knew about translanguaging. Some of them were already doing things in their classrooms, but they felt a bit frustrated that it couldn't go beyond their own classrooms to the rest of the school. So, especially for these teachers, I thought I would talk about what I have started in my school and the impact it has had so far, to give an idea of what could be the first steps before going on to translanguaging. So I also talk about what I will do differently this year and why at the end. So after I give you a bit of reflection of what went well, what didn't. But just to clarify, so every school is different. So please take my ideas as possible initiatives you could implement, and and feel free to let me know as well if you're doing anything else at the moment in your schools. I know probably there's some teachers in schools who are doing a lot more in their schools already. So if you want to share anything, feel free to do so. And as you can see, I'm on my own during this session, so don't be shy and feel free to ask questions or share your thoughts and ideas, even if it's just to say hi. I'm keeping an eye on my phone and screen on the side, but yeah, so I have my ideas set up, but I'm more than happy to uh, develop on certain points that interest you if you ask anything. Also, like I've done with other speakers, I'm going to remind you about the giveaway. I'm offering a copy of each of my books so that they're here, all of them. And this can be for families and schools. So there is the Parents Guide to Raising Multilingual Children, which is a book that explains how we can teach our children to read and write in their home languages, but through play, because what we generally do as parents with our children is to play. It can be very difficult to try to put the teacher hat on, so that way we can teach them while we're playing and doing this similar things as usual. Then there is this book, which is a graphic novel. It's called In Search of the Lost Words, a bilingual time travel adventure. So it's a book, a graphic novel, uh, that has some part of the speech bubbles in English, for example, or in there are six different languages, but in English, which is the school language, and the students or children need to complete the speech bubble with their own languages and cultures. And oh, there's Franklin again. Thank you very much. You're really running a marathon with me. It's very encouraging. So you're saying thank you for sharing your personal story about teaching languages. You're welcome. I don't really talk that much about my teaching side online. It's more about my author hat, my parents' hat. So I'm glad to do so. Uh, then another book is my multilingual diary. So this book is a diary where you have loads of prompts inside to give ideas to your children to write about various things. So here, for example, one section I particularly like is sections where I interviewed children from around the world who are multilingual in different countries. It helps children understand how different it can be to be multilingual in different countries. And the last one is a little booklet. It's a guide that explains how to become a multilingual superhero. So it explains to children that just by growing up in a um, with different languages and cultures, they're already developing some skills unknowingly, and how they can take that to the superpower level. So there are real examples of people who took it to a superpower level. So yeah, so it makes it quite concrete. Like I mentioned in my previous interview with Sufia Amin, um, before when people were saying multilingualism is a superpower, I just thought it was to make children feel good about themselves, but it wasn't really true. So here I explained a bit more why it is a superpower and how it can become a superpower. Uh, oh yeah, and Franklin is asking, could you briefly tell us about your background for people who don't know you? Yes, of course, I'm going to do that. Um, so also, I'm just going to finish with the giveaways, but I'm going to introduce myself. Yes, that's a good idea. So for the schools, in addition to books, you can also win an author visit where I talk about multilingual superpowers, and I do workshops for parents and teachers as well. So that's all included in the author visit package. And I put the link in my in the description of the video about where you can read extended extract of my books, and also where you can have more details about the author visits. And also, I'm giving away intercultural ambassador certification that helps students understand more about cultural differences and how to navigate them. And so for a chance to win any or all of them, you just need to let me know in the Google form what you want to win, and also to comment on the video for a chance to win any of these things. And so, yeah, before I start, I give you a bit of context for those of you who don't know me, and I introduce myself. So I'm Yoshito Darmon-Shimamori, like you can see on the screen. I'm an author writing books for multilingual children to help them explore and appreciate their languages and cultures. So I wrote these four books that I showed before that were part of the giveaway. Um, and so also maybe something I should mention, and why I'm so passionate about multilingualism and multi-literacy is because of my own experience growing up. So I grew up in France with French and Japanese. I went to school to learn also Japanese, so Saturday school in primary school. Then later on in secondary school, I had 6 hours of Japanese as part of my timetable where I was learning history, geography, and literature in Japanese. But it was a very tedious journey for me. I didn't feel like I couldn't read and write as well as in Japanese as in French. So it put me down. It made me doubt my own identity. Um, yeah, so, and that was because I thought that being bilingual meant speaking, reading, and writing equally well all my languages, which I know now is not the case, but that was a kind of myth I used to believe in. And becoming a parent, I thought I don't want my children to go through the same doubts and to embrace really their identity fully. And literacy, my focus on literacy is really because by becoming an adult, I understood how much I was missing out, not being able to read and write that were in Japanese. So I went to school, etc. I had lessons, so it was decent, I guess. But even now, when I go to Japan, I can still read and understand things around or understand the menu at the restaurant. So it's okay, I guess, but not that much. Yeah, but I know the benefits of being able to read and write. So I pass it on to my sons. I've taught them to read and write in our languages. And so I wrote these books to also help other families. Uh, and so as well, is there anything else I need to know? So I guess I can also talk to you about the context of my school. So it's a typical London inner city secondary girls' school. It's a public school, and we are a diverse community where more than 90% of our students grow up with another culture at home. It doesn't mean that they all speak another language because some are third or fourth generation children, but they all have a contact with another culture. And we have about 30 home languages recorded. And I say recorded because just by with some discussions in my lessons, so I'm a French and Spanish teacher. When I speak with my students, I learn sometimes that, okay, this student spoke that language. And when I check the list I have of home languages, it's not part of it. A recent one was Tree. A student told me that she spoke Tree at home, and I didn't know, I didn't think it was part of the list. It's not part of the list. So I assume that there is a bit more than 30 languages, but I'm not really sure. And also, this shows that not all families feel confident sharing that they speak a different language than English at home. So that's one thing I would like to change in my school, to communicate to parents what a treasure it is to speak different languages and have different cultures. Now, my role in the school, so as I mentioned before, I'm a modern foreign languages teacher. I teach French and Spanish, and since last year, I have another role, which is international links coordinator. So my role is, so in the job description, it says that I need to help students develop a global mindset, um, and understand that they're part of a bigger world and develop the skills to be an active part of it. So, um, like what was mentioned in the job description is that I had to carry on with the projects that were going on between schools to maybe establish new ones. So I did establish one that I'm quite happy about. It's with 5 schools abroad. Sorry, our school plus 4 schools, so 5 schools in total, to take part in a project that we call the Global Environmental Project, where each school researched and did a little video explaining environmental issues their areas were facing. So that was done by our science department. So it's a science teacher who led on this in our school and other schools as well. And these videos were shared with all the other schools. The aim was to help students first have a first contact with actual people, children of the same age as them, who are telling them the story about how it is in their city, in their area, and what solutions they have for these environmental issues. So the schools involved were our school in England, a school in Spain, one in Kenya, one in Bangladesh, and one in India. Um, and so also, yeah, if you want to take part in this, feel free to reach out to me to let me know, because we all agree that it would be a nice idea to have more schools involved and get more videos that we can share all around with our students to see the variety of issues, but also what can be similar between different countries. And another initiative started this year or last year was the Female Empowerment Project with a school in Uganda. So that was just for our Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5 students, so age, what is it, 14, 15 to 18. Uh, it was an exchange where we were talking about various aspects of female empowerment in these 2 countries, but also globally, and what is limiting women to become empowered, and what we can do ourselves, so as individuals, to change that. Other projects were also pen pal exchanges for some Spanish classes, and what else? Also, cultural exchange that we did through pen pal letters and video calls with a school in India. So quite a few things to do with other schools and other cultures, but oh yeah, and also another thing that we're already doing, so that's not from me, but just to say that students have contacts with other cultures. So in PE, they learn about Bollywood dancing. In art, they learn about the Ndebele art, which is from South Africa and Zimbabwe. In drama, they do a play, whether you're eight, so for 30, 12, 13, learn Kenyan play, so they do the play. Uh, and of course, in social studies, they also look at issues in different countries abroad. But when I took the role, there was another aspect I wanted to develop, and that was to help our students appreciate their heritage and be curious about their friends' cultures as well. So to be clear, that was just me interpreting developing a global mindset that was mentioned in my role description. Uh, because for me, developing a global mindset is not just learning about others, but also to be prouder of your own roots and to learn about who you are and be curious about others that surround you, your friends, teachers, etc. And luckily, the leadership team of my school agreed with that, and they were happy with me uh, developing activities to do with that. So during this session, I'm going to mainly talk about what I did on this aspect about celebrating our students' languages and cultures. And so our students are teenagers because it's a secondary school. And even if most of their friends have an additional culture to the British one, they are not that proud of it, or they were not that proud of it, and maybe hiding it as well. So of course, not every child was like that, but it was quite frequent. So just to give you a few examples, and I think that's something that happens in many schools, unfortunately. Um, so I would have students telling me, in my language or in my culture, it's like this, and we have to ask, so which language is it? Which culture are you talking about? For them to actually give me the name. Some who speak good English would mock other students uh, for their accents. And what shocked me a lot was that it was also happening between students from the same background. So, yeah, there was quite a lot of this. Sometimes in class, I'm curious about what my students' languages are. And so when, for example, I see them at parents' evening, I can see them translating fluently between their parents and me, what we're saying. But when in class, I ask them, also, how do you say that in your language? They would be a bit shy, not wanting to say things in front of everyone. Um, so yeah, that's the kind of thing that was very common in my school, and it is still quite common, unfortunately. But I'm working to try to make a change of this. So I don't know if some of you have similar experiences, but I have the feeling that it's quite widespread in schools when schools don't really say out loud that they welcome other cultures and languages. So before I carry on, it's also important to clarify one point, and that's legitimacy. Before I got the role of international links coordinator, so I've been working in my school for, it's my 14th year now, so I've worked in the same place for 13 years. And so before I took this role, I didn't feel like I could start an initiative to promote home languages in my school. So this comes from me not daring, thinking as well about what other teachers would think. It felt like I was bringing my personal beliefs and imposing them on others. So I didn't feel comfortable doing that. Also, I don't think I would have been able to do things at a whole school level if I didn't have this role, this hat of an international links coordinator. Because if I have this hat, now it's my duty to do it. But before, it would have been just a choice. And I was wary of what people would think about me doing all these things for no reason. Um, so when I was preparing for this event, I spoke to a few teachers, and they told me they was the same, that they didn't feel like they had the right to do anything. So, and I guess at least that was the case for me, that because nothing was really done to show that the school valued languages and cultures, I didn't feel like I could do anything. And I think that's the same as what we've heard in a few interviews, that when we teachers and staff or the school environment doesn't openly say that their students' cultures and languages are valued, so why would they think that we do? So if we don't say we value your languages or we don't show it, students can't assume or can't imagine that we do. Uh, yeah, I've heard from many colleagues once I started that actually they do value uh, like all these initiatives. They think it's a great idea. So it was mainly that because the environment didn't tell me that I was allowed or I could do it, I didn't dare doing it. And I think it's exactly the same for students. Um, so the fact that I started things gave the opportunity to teachers to voice out loud to me that they were like 100% in favor of celebrating cultures and languages. But before there was this opportunity, this event that like got the attention of a teacher who then fed back to me, oh, it's great that there was this happening. I didn't know about it. So I guess that's one lesson already, that sometimes people may value cultures, but we don't know until we ask. Uh, and that's exactly the same for our students. So why would they think that we value languages if we don't say it or we don't show it? And another thing that limited me before taking on the role is that because I wasn't in a position where I could do anything, I couldn't do anything at a whole school level. So yeah, yeah, that was a big question mark for me. Like, am I allowed to do anything? And lastly, I think it's important to acknowledge that as teachers, we have so much to do already. If anything is optional, we just can't be consistent. So if I didn't have this role, I wouldn't have felt like I have to deliver consistently what I say I'm going to do. So I would probably have dropped quite a lot of things and prioritize my job as a teacher. And those of you who know me know how much I do as an author to support multilingual children, their families and schools when I do author visits or workshops, etc. So it's not that I didn't know what to do or how to do it, but it was really the fact that I didn't feel like I was allowed to do anything. I didn't feel any legitimacy in doing anything. And I mean, just through this event, you can see how passionate I am and that I'm not really afraid of doing things. So it was really that emotionally, I didn't feel like I was allowed to do anything. And so it's only when I became the international links coordinator that I finally thought that I was allowed to do anything in my school. And uh, I don't think that I'm an isolated case. I think it's the case for everyone. If we are not told you're allowed to do this, we can be reluctant to do it. Now, one thing I'm very grateful for is that the leadership team in my school are quite open and they let me do all sorts of things. Of course, I had to put proposals together, etc. It's not like um, I just said I want to do this and that, and they just agreed blindly. But there was very little resistance, and they actually seemed happy for me to do all these things that they didn't think of originally. So this um, home languages, home cultures side. Now, I don't think that they also the importance of valuing our students' languages and cultures at first, but they were open enough to let me try things out, and this has translated into them seeing the value it could bring to the students, and then telling me that they were happy with all of these, etc. So sometimes even if they don't see things, at least if they're open enough to let us try things, I think it can work. So I guess that's one message I want to pass on to anyone who's any teacher who's watching this video. So now, what are some of the initiatives I started? So actually, before that, let me explain what my aims were or are at the moment. So the big picture I have in mind, what is the goal I would like to reach? So uh, I want students to see their cultures and languages as something valuable, personally, but also professionally, and even for how it can really enhance our creativity, which I really believe I got by growing up oh, thank you. Uh, Abdul Rahman, who's telling me to not give up. You can do it. Thank you very much. That's also the message I want to give to all the teachers watching that it's possible. And maybe at first, like Sophia as well was saying in the previous interview, at first we're on our own, it might feel lonely, but if we can do enough things to motivate people, they will get on board. And so the second thing I would like to do, so my vision is I also want them, so the students to be curious about others, their customs. So when I say others, it's not just what they learn in lessons, but their friends, people who are real to them, that are around them. And I want them to understand more about why people do things in a certain way and not necessarily like them. Thank you very much, Rahman, for all the encouraging words. So you can make it. Thank you very much. Um, and what really inspires me, I think, as well. So another thing I'm picking up from other schools when I visit. So as an author, I'm in a privileged position where I can actually go and see how things work in other schools. And I get a lot of inspiration from them. And what really inspires me is how the staff all seem to value languages and cultures and seem to work all in the same directions because creating this cool culture is so important for this empowering message to reach our children. Oh, Franklin, you just say I'm just reading, but I'm very impressed by your interesting story and by the great effort you put into promoting multilingualism. Yeah, I think it's something that's both personal and also, I think so. I got into being so passionate about it because I was raising my children multilingual and I really wanted something like for them, for their journey to be more empowering than what I had. So I really felt empowered by my languages and cultures once I was an adult. When I was a teenager, I was really with a lot of doubt. As a child, it was great, no problem. Teenage years, like quite a lot of doubts. Then up to when I had my first son, so about 20, 30, uh, I was, without asking a question, but when I felt like I was responsible for my child's life, I thought I have to do something. And that's why I started thinking about writing books to also help other families. And now, like I said, I feel allowed to also do that for our students in my school. So also as well, ultimately, I want to implement translanguaging practices in the whole school, but that will take some time. And I've done a few things and I'll talk about it this year in my first year. But I guess like we've heard in many interviews, it's a bit of a long-term game. It can't happen just at once. So first, I want to focus on emotionally getting people excited and motivated about home languages, home cultures, and yeah, and then talk a bit, like discuss a bit more how can this be included in the curriculum. So that was my goal when I started, and it still is my goal. So this big picture I have, and I aim to get my school to this level, like I can see in many schools I have visited. So not straight away because I know from talking to various teachers that change cannot happen too quickly. I guess it shouldn't happen too quickly if we want it to be sustainable. Uh, but it's definitely the direction I would love to go towards. But as a teacher, I also know how much work we all have. And when I took my role, I didn't want to impose anything on anyone. So first, because it wouldn't have been nice to add workload, but also because it wouldn't be sustainable. So if I kept implementing things and adding work on other people, they wouldn't have been as enthusiastic. And also because at first I was testing the water, so with our students, but also with the staff to see basically how much I was allowed or what people were fine with me doing. Franklin, you're asking, since you're bilingual, which language do you use with your children and what made you choose it? Good question. So yeah, I grew up with French and Japanese. But I grew up in France. So French has always been my strongest language. Um, and so because we are living in England, I just thought, okay, I'm going to pass on my strongest language, which is French, which felt the most natural for me to speak to anyone, but also to my children. So I passed on French. At the time, I didn't know it was possible to pass on two languages. So later on, I think when my eldest was like 6, 7, that's when really started to connect with other multilingual families. I saw that it was actually possible to pass on more than one language. You just need to be organized. But retrospectively, I'm thinking it's already so much effort to pass on French. Um, so Japanese, I'm fine if I didn't pass it on. And the choice was also because, not just because more fluent in it, but also because in the close family we have around, there are not many people who don't speak French. Quite a few speak both, but there are not many people who speak just Japanese. So I thought it's just going to be from time to time that they might not be able to connect directly and they need someone to translate. But so that was why I chose French. And for Japanese, but I still wanted them to feel Japanese. So I I talked about when I go to Japan, or when I went to Japan as a child. I talked about loads of stories, games, and when my mom comes as well, sometimes because it's more natural for her to speak in Japanese, there will be some expression that slip out in Japanese, uh, and they would pick up a few expressions like this, but really nothing major. It was really to try to get them to feel that they're Japanese as well. And so last summer we went to Japan and it really felt like uh, they were really excited to discover this country, to meet, so again, their cousins. So they had only met their cousin who is French and Japanese in France before, but now it was the first time they met him in Japan. And yeah, they love discovering all the different places. But I'm digressing, so I'm not going to take too much time on this, but that's why I chose to pass on French. Yeah, Anif is saying, thank you for sharing, Yoshito. It's empowering to hear your journey championing home languages as a parent, educator, and author. Thank you very much. As a French and Spanish teacher and multilingual dad, have you found that some languages are harder than others in terms of finding student-friendly or kid-friendly resources? Um, I guess uh, yes, but luckily, I think so. Finding resources, I guess it's mainly French for my sons and Korean because my wife is Korean. So it's been mainly these two. Spanish, it's more like school things. Otherwise, it's videos, etc. on YouTube. So Spanish is quite like a big language as well. So it hasn't been too difficult. I think Korean has been more difficult. Um, but we are finding ways around. So mainly, I think what was difficult was to find books easily, like in our environments. Um, but then when we go to Korea, we buy loads of books. We bought some secondhand here from families who are leaving. But otherwise, Korea is really good at putting their cultures out there. So, for example, when they were little, one thing that shocked me a lot was that even the Japanese cartoons I was watching as a child were more available translated in Korean. So it was great for my sons, but it was quite shocking for me to see that actually in Korean we can find more resources than in Japanese when it comes to things online. Uh, so um, let me get back to what I did in school. So my starting point was to get people, like students and staff, to enjoy exploring and discovering all the fun of multilingualism, multiculturalism in what it can bring. So just the fun part of it. That's really the same approach I have in my lessons when I teach French and Spanish, because it's to students who didn't necessarily choose these languages, so they can choose that when they start in year seven. But most students don't really know either language. Uh, so they have a brief encounter in primary school, but it's not necessarily linked to the origin for most of them. We have some who are, but most of them it's not. So why would they want to learn French or Spanish? So I try to make it really fun so that they're motivated, they want to practice, and then with practice the learning takes place. It's the same with my books. So for example, the uh, this book was originally because I was looking for a way for my sons to write in our home languages. So as I said before, it's mostly in the school language. So for example, English, but there is also French, Italian, German, Dutch, and Japanese. So the school language, and then they need to fill in about 20% of the speech bubbles in their home language, and complete some of the images in with the home culture. So it's personalizing the story, but it doesn't distract too much from the story, and also but it's enough for them to feel like they can share their own story. So I try to really get people to be enthusiastic about something before uh, asking them to do any effort. And so I'm going to make a little bit of no before that. So I'd like to get back to the initiatives. So I basically wanted people to see all the fun aspects uh, of multilingualism, multiculturalism, to motivate them to be then take part of it. Thank you very much, Annie, for your nice comment. You said so creative. But I'm just reading them not to boast, but because I think all the comments they disappear afterwards, after the live. So I'm just reading them for everyone catching up after. Um, so yeah, so the initiative. So at first, I thought that I would set things up, and people who were interested or more eager could join in. So I was really trying to do something fun and just attract people who are interested first, and then we can think about something at the school, whole school level, implementing things in lessons, etc. But first, just the fun aspect. And the main thing I wanted to do is to have our cultures present in our school environment, so something constant throughout the year in our environment. Because before that, we had 1 week during the year that was called the East Sequel. We still do it. It's the Languages Week, but like the name mentions, it's 1 week. So I wanted to have something that is throughout the year. It's constantly present in our students' environment, even if they don't necessarily want to engage with it straight away. So uh, it's the language of the month calendar, and I got this idea when I went to a conference. So I know that quite a few schools do it, but I thought it's a great idea to start with it. So I organized this calendar, and I come back on that. But that was aimed at our students. And I also wanted to involve teachers, but again, without forcing them. In my school, we have Enquiry groups that are led by some of our staff. It can be about loads of different things. And there are groups of teachers focusing on one aspect they want to work on and improve. So as we're talking about it with Sophia, in England, what's great is that there is this drive to always learn and improve our teaching. So that's one initiative that is in my school. So to have an inquiry group focusing on something, and it doesn't ask for too much, but it's still helping people focus on the one area that they want to improve. And so we meet 4 times a year. So we have four meetings during the year to work on one aspect. And so I led a group on translanguaging. So there were teachers from science, drama, RE, and also teaching assistants who joined. So that was nice because they were interested and they were invested. So I think if I had started with something at a homeschool level, it would have been a very different picture. But here, everyone was very interested, and so they became very creative. So, and I'll show you a few things afterwards. So, the rest of the teachers, for the rest of the teachers, I also had the opportunity. So that's also thanks to the leadership team who said, yes, that can be, that's fine. Because I said I would like to also tell at least the whole school that it's important to have a diverse curriculum. So they, as part of one of our twilights, so it's like meetings we have after school a few times a year when we have trainings. So I said, can I lead on a workshop to explain how diversifying the curriculum is important and beneficial for our students? And so, yeah, so they allowed me to do that. And I think, so maybe also I'm lucky to have a leadership team that is not closed and they don't think they're not open. They let me try things out and they're happy with it. Then the last thing I wanted to do was to reach out to parents, so students, teachers, parents. And for the parents, so I haven't done much last year. I want to do more this year. But we organized an event that we call the Mother Tongue Information Event, where we got researchers to come to school and to explain to our parents how it is important to keep their languages alive. And also, it was a time where we could actually share what we do in the school because parents are not always aware. They don't always read all the emails we send them. So it was great to get them in one place to have this powerful message. But it was just once. So this year I want to do a bit more, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. So now let me give you more details about these two particular initiatives. So first, the language of the month calendar. So before I explained that there wasn't much done in our school to celebrate our students' cultures and languages. So that's not actually true. In the borough where I am, which is Tower Hamlets, which is in East London, um, the biggest population we have is from Bangladeshi background. So in our school, in addition to French and Spanish, we teach Bengali in Key Stage 3, so from 11 to 14. Uh, it's as a club, after school club, but after, when they prepare for their GCSE exam, so from 14 to 16, then it's part of the curriculum, actually to 18 for the A levels as well. So it's part of the curriculum. If students want to do that in their exams, they can have a proper teaching about it, so proper lessons. And we have an amazing Bengali teacher who does a lot to help students explore their home languages, yeah, and cultures. In addition to like teaching them to read and write, because some can speak but can't read and write, so she teaches them that, and she covers the curriculum. And some join in year 10, and at the end of year 11, they have the GCSE exam. So it's a lot she does in 2 years, and the progress is amazing. But so academic progress is amazing, but also how they feel about their culture is amazing. So, um, of course, this is done in lesson, but also outside. So, for example, in November in our borough, there is the Bangla theatre season. So, our Bangla teacher takes the students, but also the parents. And I think that's a great idea to involve the parents as well. So, she invites them to go and watch a play, a Bangla play together. So, the plays in Bengali so they can hear it, and it's outside school, so it's quite nice for students to be in that environment. In our area, we also have loads of places that have Bangladeshi names. So they study where these names come from, who these famous people are, etc. And there's also the Shahid Minar, which is a monument to commemorate the fight of Bangladeshi people to keep their language, to be able to be allowed to speak their language. Oh, there's Eva who's commenting, so fortunate to have a leadership team that supports home languages, not just with words, but with real action. Yeah. So I feel really, yeah, fortunate that whenever I have an idea, well, most of the time they say yes. Sometimes they say we need to tweak this because of these possible issues, etc. So, for example, one thing that I was very disappointed last year is that I couldn't do bake sales because our students love bake sales. They love baking cakes, but also buying them. But we had an issue a couple of years back where there was someone who, so although we say no nuts in any cakes, someone still put nuts. I'm sure it's by mistake, but a person who was allergic ate the cake, and then there was a big reaction. And so now we don't do bake sales because of this issue. Yeah, so, but other than that, so if they have no reason to object, they will say, yes, of course, that's fine. And then we talk about when it can be done, etc. So I think yeah, having the support of the leadership team is really important. Even if you're the one who comes up with all the initiatives, etc., it's really valorizing. Well, you feel good when they let you do things. And another great thing to come back on what the Bengali teacher does is that twice a year she organizes a little party where she invites parents. So she does that in February and at the end of the year. And so they do lots of games. Actually, I have a few pictures, so let me try to share them with you. Ah, yes, it's here. So let me share with you the photos. Oops. I think yeah, I think you can see it. So yeah, on these pictures you can see the kind of events. So top left hand corner you have the Bengali theater. Then we have some cultural events. Here it's guessing the objects. So there are some from she brought from Bangladesh, from other students, other families who brought them, and then other children have to guess what they are. She also rents, I forgot the name of this, but it's a vehicle that is very common in Bangladesh, where so it's someone riding a bike that um, like a taxi basically. Yeah, and so she rents that, and students can ride it at break time, lunchtime, etc. So it's that's during the languages week generally, but yeah, that's how she motivates children. Uh, Let me stop sharing. Oh, sorry, no, not this window. Stop sharing. Okay, I think I'm back now. So, and that's so it's great, but one thing she told me that made me think, okay, we need to do more for our students, is that she said that although the students feel and act proud and curious about their own culture when it's in the classroom or with the different activities they do in and outside the classes, when they go out the club or the class, they are not that confident. Maybe they're a bit ashamed of their culture. So, which is a real pity. So, one aim of the language of the month calendar was to not make it so that students celebrate their own culture, but also learn about their friends, and that as a school. So to show that as a school, we value everyone's cultures. And it's not like you are from a certain culture, you know about it, but the others don't need to, or you don't need to learn about other cultures. It was trying to make things like uh, both ways. Uh, and what else? So the language of the month calendar was basically spending a whole month, so just to explain, to celebrate a certain language and the associated cultures. So, for example, I say it's language and associated cultures because languages like French and Arabic, they're all spoken in many different countries. So it was nice to first make students aware of all the countries that speak these languages, but also the link they can have. And also one thing it helped with was to have discussions, for example, about different accents and to show that it's just in different places and to not make it something to make fun of, etc. And in my school, so we have 30 home languages recorded. So to choose, so that's, yeah, recorded because there are some others that I'm not aware of. But to choose the languages, because we have just a few months during the year, I asked at the beginning students to vote for what they wanted to explore. So again, getting students interested. So getting their input on what they would like to celebrate or to explore, and then organize it accordingly. And that was also a tip I got from another school who told me, so we have so many languages, and I asked, how do you make sure it's fair? And they said they just vote. And yeah, I think it's good to have this input from students as well. I'm going to share another slide where I can, is it, no, not shared yet. I show you a little bit of insight into the language of the month. So you can see we started in November because we had to organize everything, um, um, get the ambassadors as well who are going to help. But so one language per month, and here you have some photos about the kind of events we had. So it can be art and craft. We had some competition, like for example, designing a babushka doll, manga competition. Uh, yeah, and bottom right hand corner, it's during the Somali month when people, students and staff were dancing on Somali music and Somali dance. So it was great. So that's the kind of celebrations we have during the language of the month calendar, or during the language of the month each month. And another thing is that another thing that is done during this month is that the canteen is preparing um, a special menu one day during the month to celebrate this language. Uh, so to organize this, as I said, I had ambassadors who helped me come up with ideas, but actually it's so one issue we found in my school is that ambassadors, so it's those who are enthusiastic to take part and be ambassadors actually wanted for many things. So it went all great the first 3 months because they're enthusiastic. They want to do lots of things. But they get tired because they're involved in so many things. So I guess after 3 months, it was mainly me and members of staff. So members of staff got um, how to say, they were excited about what was going on, and they offered to take part. And so that was great to have some members of staff helping with coming up with props, activities, ideas. And also what was good is that because they are adults, they knew more about the country. It was great to have more appealing um, se- um, how to say, cultural sense. But yeah, so this year, so because it's a whole school thing, the ambassadors are going to be chosen differently. It's going to be a hiring process, etc. So I won't dive into that, but it's good that uh, this changes because it's going to impact a lot what is happening in the school and how successful it is. And so uh, what else? Yeah. So there were quite a few variety of activities. I'm going to share a few things that were consistent. That I wanted to have some consistency and some variations to make it fun, but uh, and I'm going to share the learning as well. So, for example, there was always a conversation starter. It was on the display board dedicated to the language of the month calendar. And these conversation starters always took the culture celebrated as a starting point and encouraged students to compare with others. So either others they knew, their friends, etc. So, for example, for the Arabic month, which was the first month in November, it was something like, do you know that in Arabic, days of the week don't have names. They're called first day, second day, third day, etc. The day of gathering, the day of prayer. What do you call your the days of the week in your language or in your friends' languages? Or what are their origins? For the Japanese month, I remember I shared um, superstition I used to believe when I was little. It was that when there is a lightning outside, there is the god of thunder who's going to come and take your, how to say, belly button away if you don't cover yourself. So I used to believe that, and I shared that with the students. I asked them what they used to believe when they were children, or other fun beliefs from different cultures. As I said before, the other consistent thing was the special menu in the canteen. And there was always, as well, at least, there was always, yeah, also one cultural event at lunchtime on one day during the month. So and now I come to the learning and what have changed over time. It wasn't just from me, but it was from students as well who said this doesn't really work or people don't really get engaged, etc. So at first, we're only thinking of physical activities that were taking place in school, so during lunchtime, break time, or after school. Uh, and what we saw is that because it was one event at a certain time, and also I wanted this to carry on throughout the year. So it would have meant like 8 activities. So first, organization-wise, it was difficult, but also students have loads of different things that they want to attend to. So uh, the attendance was very poor. So it was also because it was something new, but also because of this having just one time to attend it. But having one event made it more important, so there was a lot more people attending. Another thing that we learned is that after school activities didn't work because students just wanted to go home. So for these two reasons, we started preparing quizzes online. At the beginning of the year, it was like more like competitions between forms, but afterwards, it was also quizzes that they could take on their on in their own times, uh, anytime during the month until the last day of the month. So that brought a lot more students to do these activities. Uh, what else? Yeah. One thing we changed as well with quizzes. At first, especially when it was form competitions, it was basically a quiz and you have to guess the answers to some questions. So it was a lot of either guessing or just testing people on what they knew already, but it wasn't really helping them discover other cultures. So through the other quizzes that we made online, it was more based on, for example, we found a nice YouTube video and was saying, so what did this person say? What did they which of the dishes that you find in the street foods in this video would you like to taste and why? So a lot of tasting food videos or cooking as well. So menus that students could cook at home, take pictures of, send us. And that's as well because, as I said before, we couldn't do any bake sale. So that was a way around, but you get students excited. And also one small way to incentivize students was to say only students who get everything correct in the quiz get an achievement point. It's really nothing an achievement point, but it's a little bit of incentive. It doesn't cost anything to the school as well, so the school was fine with it. And the students, it helps them be motivated to get this little achievement point uh, because so if they get everything right, so they would search the internet, look at the video, and they would learn through that. Now, the other initiative, and I'm realizing I'm getting to the end of the hour. Uh, I can carry on a bit, but yeah, I carry on a bit actually because I'm here. So why stop now? I have time. Uh, yeah. So, and also if you're interested, feel free to ask me other questions. So the other initiative I would like to talk about is implementing translanguaging in some subject through the Enquiry group. So because this video is linked to translanguaging, it's giving you a way to have a first step towards implementing it in your school. So I think it could be quite important to share about it. So as I said before, we had an inquiry group of 8 teachers. So it was quite small, but it was 8 very interested teachers. So they were very creative. Oh, Franklin, you're saying you have time. Thank you very much. So yeah, it was because they were enthusiastic, they were creative. It was great to work with them. I'm going to show you an example just afterwards. But yeah, so I think that could be one thing to think about. How can you get a group of teachers who are already interested in the subject of bringing languages alive or using languages as a resource in your lessons? And for example, I remember when I did like a training, the first training I did to this group of 8, I talked about different examples. And one example I couldn't come up with was science. How do you include students' languages in science to make it enriching, not just for the sake of including languages, but enriching to a lesson? And so I couldn't give an answer to these science teachers. And they came up with some great ways to include the culture and languages. So I'm going to share with you um, some work they've done. It's this window. Yes. So okay. So yeah, you can see here. So there are two. It was homework about adaptation, how animals adapt to their environments, and usually they would give students animals to research. How did this animal adapt to the environment, etc. And this year they thought, okay, we're going to ask them to research an animal that's common in their country, or maybe an animal that's extinct but used to be in their country. And so there is a student who looked for from the Philippines, who looked at an eagle, one from Pakistan who looked at a fishing cat. And so these so they said that because they gave the choice to students to do it that way, first, the biggest difference they saw compared to other years is how much time the students spent. So they could see through the presentation that they were proud of the work they'd done. And so the quality overall of the homework was a lot better than previous years. And I guess it's because students see that it's personal. They want to share their animal from their country or their parents' country, grandparents' country. And so yeah, the other thing that was good is, so I'm going to show you, is that even if, because they started doing this frequently in lessons, even if they were not prompted, then some students started to uh, use their own languages in the classroom. So you can see here the example of a student who drew a body and organs, but annotated it with so English and Somali. So it's a Somali student who wrote with her own home language. So it was good to see that they felt like they could share about their language. And I guess she was proud because she knew that the teacher was going to look at her book afterwards. So she did that. So overall, it feels like there has been some noticeable impact on students and staff. It's still in the very, very beginning. Um, but it's quite encouraging. So some of the changes I've seen uh, is, so, as I said, so teachers mentioned how great it was to celebrate all these cultures, and they were becoming more curious. So from January, I had teachers where they knew it was that their month, so the month of their culture, who said, "Oh yeah, I'm happy to help. If you need any help, let me know." So that was great to see some teachers getting more involved despite all the work they already have. And other changes that I've noticed, so more subtle, and these I'm not sure it's just with me, like when students are around me, or if it's more like in general. But for example, uh, as I said before, so before I used to hear some students mocking others because of their accents. I don't think I have heard that at all recently. So I think it maybe because students knew that I was valuing languages, cultures, and also I was speaking up on any mocking, which I think any teacher does. But uh, I think they started to understand more why it wasn't nice to mock people because of their accents. So that was good. Also, when students talk about their home cultures and languages, they don't just say in my or our languages or culture, they say the name. So again, I'm not sure if that's just with me or with any teacher, but it was nice to see this change. And also, more students spontaneously make the link with how things work in their parents' countries or the language, so which is quite useful in language lessons or in French or Spanish to compare so the word order, etc. So they do that a lot more spontaneously now without me having to ask them. So to finish, I I can maybe share my plan for this year, and so I'm going to finish with that. So currently things are really um, happening because I am here. But like Sophia explained in the previous interview, if I want things to carry on without me, so maybe on a day if I'm ill, or even later when I'm not working the school anymore. So I would like this to carry on and be really embedded in the school. So I guess the goal is to uh, find a way to get more people involved. So right now, I see that people are more enthusiastic about it. So I carry on getting people enthused by multilingualism, multiculturalism, before we can include anything, the school policy or anything like this. So that's something to work on. And this year, now that I have had a first round, I'd like to use a bit more what is happening in the school already to just add a bit like a twist of multilingualism, multiculturalism. And for example, I'm thinking of our year 12 students, business students, who, so as part of their course, they have to organize an event. So why not ask them to to organize a cultural event for a certain language? So that's one thing I'm thinking about. Another thing I would like to add is an English month in the in the language of the month calendar, and that's because mainly I once heard a comment that broke a bit my heart. Is a student who is monolingual English who said I don't have any culture, and so I thought, yeah, okay, we need to do something about this because uh, you don't have no culture. You have a culture, which is British. It's true that we've been celebrating others because others are less known, but it's true that you have a culture as well. And so I'm in discussion with the language department, and we want to make it something fun. I think there is English Day. I can't remember. I think it's April. So if that's April, we're going to make it April, the English month, but we want to make it in a fun way. So I don't know if you know the sketch from a comedian called Michael McIntyre. It's called the Silent Letter Day, where he talks about uh, what what would happen if we all pronounce all these letters that we don't pronounce in English. And he talks about a silent letter day. How would we celebrate all these letters? Uh, so it's quite funny. So we are going to go toward this fun way of talking about English culture and English language. And another other thing I think we can do is to reach out more to families. So we're going to organize again this mother tongue information event, but also so another idea I saw in a school, and that's why I feel so privileged to be able to visit schools as part of my with my author hat. But it's that so they put their bulletin so for parents on their website, and on the website they can so with Google Translate, you can actually choose, so you can have a button where you choose your language, and it then translates automatically the whole bulletin into the home language. And that's going to show parents that we value their languages. And also it might facilitate communication as well with parents who read less well English. Also, an idea I got yesterday from Dr. Gunsel, so she's the researcher who talked about the project she does with teenagers in schools, and her project called Raising Aspiration Project, where she does activities in schools to uh, inspire students to show them that their languages and cultures are actually valuable, even professionally, not just at the emotional level, but even professionally. Uh, and yeah, so the aim is really for students to feel like their languages are valuable, because like we said with Sofia this morning, it's not enough to tell students that their languages are important, or they should value or be proud of their languages and cultures. They have to feel it. So we need to set this environment so that they feel this pride. And sorry, Eva, you added using home languages across subjects reinforces students' identity, mother tongues, and a sense of belonging at school. Yeah, that's very true. On this note, it was on Friday, we had Zach Eckert, who works at the International School of London, who explained how the curriculum has been changed, shifted in his school, so that uh, the learning that's happening in English, their home language, and the foreign language that they are learning is echoing each other, complementing each other to help students learn better. So if you're interested, feel free to go and watch this interview to understand how it can be done, maybe in your school as well. Okay, so I hope I gave you enough details about what can be done to create an environment that celebrates and values languages. Also, I know I went a bit over time. I hope it was helpful to get this little time over. And I know that some of us might feel like our school is not interested in changing anything. So I guess if I can give one piece of advice based on my own experience, it's that if you want to create an environment that values students' languages and cultures, it is helpful to focus on generating positive emotions from students, but also staff, because once they are enthusiastic, people will be happy to help out. And I guess that goes back to the principle I often share on my workshops is the 20-80 ratio. Like 20% of effort for 80% of fun. So if you're showing then people that they can get 80% of like a lot more fun than the effort they put, they're going to be willing to do it. So I guess it's the same for if you want to generate this or create this environment in your school as well. Uh, Anything else? What else? Okay. Yeah. And also, so when it's for the good of students, I would say schools will never or rarely say no. If they see that it's going to be valuable for their students, they're always going to be, well, I can't say always, but hopefully very often be supportive of any initiative. So and I guess I can mention Sufia again, who gave a little tip for the teachers who are already doing translanguaging. So maybe follow your students, see the improvement it makes to their work to include translanguaging practices in your lessons. And then you can use that as a case study to show your leadership team to say, maybe we can do something about it. And I think I'm going to finish by quoting Dr. Jim Cummins. So let me show you the slide. Is it sharing? I think so. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. So his quote, so by leaving the languages and cultures at the schoolhouse door, children also leave a central part of who they are, their identity. So at the schoolhouse door, when they fear this rejection, they're much less likely to participate actively and confidently in classroom instruction. So just to say that we, like it was repeated several times during this event, but accepting or promoting our students' languages and cultures is also helping them feel good in the school, seeing that they are seen for their whole, we accept their whole identity. I see a comment from Franklin. Having fun is always a good channel or method to learn. I use this with many children and my family. Yeah, I've seen that with my sons as well. That's what I promote with my books as well. So if we go through the um, fun aspect first and we get them emotionally involved, then there'll be a lot happening. So we're coming to the end of this not interview because I was on my own, but session. And so after a break, I see you again this afternoon with two other interviews. So first with Dr. Germaine Koskina, with whom we are going to talk about how children develop literacy in more than one language. And when we talk about, then we talk about teenagers with Dr. Ute Limacher-Hebold, who will be giving us practical tips to support their multiliteracy journey. So what can we do with teenagers so that they maintain their language, but even develop their languages in a written way? So I see you later. I see muchas gracias. So muchas gracias for all those of you who have followed me. I hope it was helpful and this event is helpful. Feel free to share it around if you think that it can benefit other people. I made it really easily accessible so that people can share it easily, access it easily. So feel free to do so. Thank you very much again, and I'll see you this afternoon for our last two interviews. Bye, everyone, and have a nice lunch. Bon appétit if it's noon for you too. Bye.